FreeMMOStation.com.
Alright guys, so I tried my hand at the new dungeons. This is the hard mode of Bathysmal Rise, as well as the entirely new dungeon, Sky Cruiser Endeavor. And I want to say before we even start that there is another dungeon coming called Dreadspire. This is going to be Tera's toughest bosses, and they're all back. And they've learned a few new tricks. Enter a tower of nightmares run by a power-hungry madman, and fight your way to the top. That's what it says on the website, and it seems really interesting, at least from the little thumbnail there. Now, Sky Cruiser Endeavor as well looked a little bit interesting from the thumbnail, because apparently you're actually on a airship, and the airship itself is the dungeon. So as I join this dungeon, as I get into it, it's a level 65 dungeon, and you do need the highest level gear. This is probably goes for everything. You know, these dungeons, this whole expansion is really about the end game, and yes, you do need the gearest of gear. You need the highest tier of everything. And make sure you have your crystals in, slotted, enchanted, you just need everything buffed, guys. And so, not only that, but strategically, you're going to need a team that knows what they're doing in order to complete these, especially on the hard modes. And I can't even tell you how hard it really is, because I literally, in Sky Cruiser Endeavor, I could not get past the first boss. So, in my experience, it was actually very, very interesting, because as a tank, it was very difficult, of course, because these bosses normally have a mix of adds, or they have very complicated boss maneuvers, like they have different phases at 90%, 50%, 30%. They have different phases with different big abilities. They also have environmental abilities where they can sometimes wipe an entire area if you're not standing in a specific spot. It's really crazy. It's a lot of fun, absolutely. And it's so cool to see these kind of mechanics, especially in an action game. I want to be moving around. I don't want to be tanking and spanking. But yeah, it gets pretty crazy, guys. So the first boss for Sky Cruiser Endeavor, which wiped us over and over, I could not even get past it. It just spawned lots and lots of adds. I held aggro pretty well, but there are some that you just cannot aggro, and you really need your party to move around and to, well, maintain their aggro. They actually need to be careful about aggroing everyone else. They need to actually be careful of not getting hit by archers in the long-range units. It's pretty intense. Now, for Bathysmal Rise hard mode, which was just added, oh my god, the hard modes for these games, for these dungeons, is intense. Like, not only do you need really good gear for the normal modes, but for hard mode, I think you really need to be an endgame guild. Like, you actually need people that know what they're doing. So, if you try to use the looking for group, you might not have a great time, you might not have the best experience. You're gonna need a actual guild. But Fate of Arun really is meant for group content, group play. It's a lot of fun, especially with the Skycastles, which we'll talk about now. I just wanted to bring a little tour to the Skycastles that have just went live in Tera. And I don't know if you guys can see these yet, or if we will be able to see these soon, but basically Skycastles is going to be allotted to a select few guilds. This is going to be for the guilds of guilds, the gods of guilds. These are the guilds that really attempt to, well, actually make a name for themselves. And luckily, this game is actually going to allow them to not just make a name for themselves, but to display that to everyone. You can actually get Skycastles that literally float outside of major cities. It looks freaking awesome. From the outside, I think is really spectacular, but let's show you guys what it looks like on the inside and what you can do from there. So it seems Tera is going to give you the option to populate your Sky Castle with a couple of different NPCs, so you can have different shops in there. There's a couple of different reasons why this would be, I guess, really good for a guild. It's a good meeting spot, but also it's useful for you, so you can go there with your guild and purchase the things you need for your end game content, or even to help people level up. You know, it's just really, it's a convenience thing, guys. It's a convenience thing. But other than customizing the NPCs that go inside the castle, you can also customize the outside, the aesthetics of it, so when everyone's looking up in awe, you can sit proud and know that you customized it, and your guild earned that. You have to actually take points, and you have to use this currency in order to actually customize and purchase the different options. So you can have different aesthetics, different themalities, and then you can add on entire portions to your Sky Castle. So, well, just look really awesome. One thing I want to say is that these Sky Castles really aren't, like, tremendously huge. I mean, they look really awesome, and they are convenient, but they're not, like, entire dungeons or zones in themselves. But it is something, and it didn't need to be added, and it is something that I think competitive guilds are really going to be vying or fighting over. Also know that with this update, there is a lot going on with the guild functions, period, not just Sky Castles. You also have a competitive guild versus guild content, and also we got some new dungeons going in. So lots of really awesome endgame content being added onto Tera. But guys, what do you think about player housing in MMOs? Is it good? Is it bad? I mean, if you guys want to have a conversation about it, I don't have a problem with that. This is FreeMMOStation. We're going to talk about free MMOs and MMO stuffs. For me, I think that this kind of player housing is actually really interesting. But the notoriety factor, like, because it does increase your literal fame, which is pretty much the point of being in a guild anyways, is to make friends, have fame, and basically show off. This is the meaning of player housing. It's not instanced. At the same time, it's not as functional as WildStars. But because you do get to show it off, to me, that's the most impactful kind of player housing. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. This is FreeMMOStation. Like and subscribe if you want to keep seeing more, and we'll see you again later.